Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion from the fallout from Boruto Chapter 74. And today, I want to discuss something I saw in a comment that really stood out in the comment section of the Boruto chapter review, which is one of you guys said you believe that this chapter actually set up Boruto's Jougan Eye awakening and that the foreshadowing was hidden behind all the horny antics of what I will forever deem this to be Chapter 1 of the new Horny House saga. So in today's video, I'm not only going to look at the point that was made to me by one of you guys, but I also want to look at 4 other ways Boruto's Jougan can awaken and manifest and what the narrative impact of each of these 5 scenarios is going to be. So jumping right into point number 1, it's only right that we start with the suggestion made by a subscriber. The whole idea that was pitched is that in this chapter, Amato casually dropped the fact that in time, Boruto and Kawaki will eventually show off more of their powers of their Otsutsuki, which builds on what we were previously told by Code, which is that a true user of karma is able to tap in more than just the increased power and the speed that comes from the increased ability of using karma, but the true essence of karma is something more than just what Boruto and Kawaki were using it for. True essence of karma gives you the combat experience of the Otsutsuki that has been garnered over a millennia, and it gets placed into your mind and body, which takes a novice to a seasoned warrior in terms of skill, but only if a person is able to draw on karma properly. We've seen with Kawaki that while he is figuring out how to properly use the true essence of karma, he's now able to activate the dojutsu of Ishiki at will, and likely due to being a perfect vessel, he's able to spawn more of the Dharma will pattern eye than someone like Jougan, who can only get partial spokes to appear in the corner of his eye, which is sufficient enough to use the dojutsu 2 main abilities, which is the Sukuno Hikona, which allows for the power to shrink, and the Daikokuden, which allows for summoning speeds of objects that exceed the tracking power of Sage mode, and arguably 6 past Sage mode when it's Ishiki, the true owner of the dojutsu, using this jutsu. Well, the idea is that since Amato made reference to tapping into more of the skills of the Otsutsuki, they believe that this is what will be the cause for Boruto's Jougan to manifest, because the Jougan itself is an eye that can be traced back to the Otsutsuki God, and while Momoshiki did convert 18% of his remaining data into Boruto in order to rebuild his organs, which now prevents Momoshiki from resurrecting, and Boruto's now 100% Otsutsuki due to him having the gene that carries the Jougan, it should manifest now according to this subscriber. However, while I see the logic behind this, I want to add something to this whole concept, because while I don't think it's crazy, it's more logical than some of the ideas that are out here. I do think that it's missing something, which is going to lead me into point number 2. I think the Momoshiki factor has to come into play here. Jougan cannot manifest itself until after Boruto willingly gives up control to Momoshiki because of the great calamity that Momoshiki spoke of, which will be so great that Boruto gives up on living. We can all agree those are strong words for Momoshiki to utter, that someone as bright-eyed and optimistic as Boruto is going to give up on the will to live and exist in the corner of his own mind, with Momoshiki in complete control. Boruto falling into despair lines right up with the Jougan itself. Now you might be asking how, and it goes back to the significance of Taneri calling Boruto's eye the eye of hope. Now hope is one of those things that pulls people out of despair. Hope causes people to take one step forward and then another step forward. Now you might be asking, does Masashi Kishimoto even know about the Jougan, which is clearly something that Ukyo Kodachi, the former Boruto writer, came up with, since the lead Boruto animator said on his blog that when they made the eye, they had some of the powers of the Jougan figured out, but they were still working out all the details, including the why and how. Well, the answer to that is yes, and we actually have proof of this because we know for a fact that Masashi Kishimoto stepped in to rewrite and restructure Boruto episodes 8 and 9, because Kodachi at the time referred to it as Kishimoto's involvement in those episodes as being meticulously involved, and I explained in further detail why that was the case in my video on why Naruto and Hinata almost had a third child, which I recommend checking out after this video. In those episodes, Boruto's Jougan was literally a primary focus because Boruto mistakenly thought that he'd awaken his Byakugan eye. However, where this comes into play with Momoshiki is based off the fact that Momoshiki stated where he said that he could confine Boruto into a corner of his own mind. In theory, so too should Boruto be able to do the same with Momoshiki. They both have souls attached to the same body. If one's able to suppress the other, it should work reversed. And Boruto swearing to force Momoshiki into a corner of his own mind, that has to be foreshadowing, because that was not said by mistake. So just as Boruto didn't know about the true power of karma, there's something about being the vessel of an Otsutsuki that Boruto doesn't know right now, and this might be the case, which explains why Momoshiki would not reveal this information. However, something like this will require more than just willpower and making sure Boruto never runs out of chakra. Instead, this will require something akin to force, which is something that the Otsutsuki understand, and the Jougan being the pure eye would be enough to keep Momoshiki at bay, showing full mastery over Momoshiki's power without the influence of Momoshiki taking over and Momoshiki being able to hijack his consciousness. It would be something very similar to when Naruto got the mastery over Kurama. Naruto was given a golden chakra aura that differentiated him from all the other Jinchuriki, and the same could be true for Boruto to make him different from all the other Otsutsuki vessels, which he's technically still a vessel since he is the host for Momoshiki's soul, even though Momoshiki can't ever resurrect. So moving on to point number 3, we have the idea that Boruto will awaken the Jougan in response to Momoshiki taking control and killing Sasuke. Now, this won't be extremely bittersweet if it happened, because the Sasuke Rested manga, which I am reviewing here on the channel, has proven that Sasuke as a character still holds a lot of weight to the point where his name holds up very well in the streets of the Boruto fandom, with some people saying that Sasuke is the reason why they even continue to read Boruto. So if Sasuke were to be killed by Momoshiki, who by extension will be controlling Boruto, if it isn't done in a way that feels in character for Sasuke, if it isn't a memorable death, the fandom is likely to melt down. And by the fandom, I don't just mean the vocal minority of fans on Twitter. However, could Boruto awakening that eye in an effort to suppress Momoshiki after he kills someone close to him and someone who Boruto aspires to become, could that be a good enough catalyst to justify the eye? It's going to come down to the execution of how Sasuke goes out, because the awakening itself, it can be beautiful, but it wouldn't hit the same if the death itself was fumbled. To further elaborate on this point, I'm going to use a Dragon Ball example, since Boruto's manga borrows so much from Dragon Ball. If Frieza would have killed Piccolo in front of Goku, and that's what made him turn into a Super Saiyan for the first time, it doesn't hit the same as Frieza killing Krillin, due to everything that those two characters have gone through, from Goku discovering Krillin's dead body in early Dragon Ball to the ramifications that since Krillin can't be wished back twice and couldn't be revived by the Earth Dragon Balls, and given the Namekian Dragon Balls couldn't be used at that point, it triggered a sense of hopelessness that then turned into rage, that turned into the Super Saiyan trigger. You could recreate those same feelings of hopelessness and rage if Boruto is forced to watch Momoshiki kill Sasuke, and have that be what causes him to regain control and awaken the Jougan. It will be a bit of a tragic irony for an eye that's called the Eye of Hope. Now for number 4, we're going to be going with another fan favorite that I've seen, which is that Boruto awakens the Jougan in response to the 2 missing Otsutsuki showing up and a threat that needs to be taken down. Unlike in the past, when the Otsutsuki's shown up, there have been the possibility of Naruto and Sasuke being able to put those Konoha tag team titles on the line in order to defend Earth from Kaguya, Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and while they lost those titles against Jigen, they recaptured the tag team titles fighting against Ishiki due to the help of Boruto and Kawaki, who were able to play a key role in victory that was spearheaded by Naruto and Sasuke. This would be the first Otsutsuki threat that pops up where Boruto and Kawaki would be the ones responsible for defending Earth, and maybe even potentially only Boruto, depending on what route Kawaki's character takes in the future. Having the Eye awaken is a direct result of the arrival of these Otsutsuki, and being a need to get enough power to defend the Earth could be something that works in this scenario, especially if those 2 missing Otsutsuki are the catalyst for point number 5. Now, point number 5 is going to be the Otsutsuki God itself. From the moment we saw the Otsutsuki God in the manga and all the Jougan eyes that were in the background, the belief that the Otsutsuki God would be created or summoned to Earth because Boruto has the Jougan has been something I've seen in quite a few comments. Defeating the 2 missing Otsutsuki and causing the Otsutsuki King or the Otsutsuki God to descend to Earth who has the Jougan is enough to set off grounds to make the eye itself manifest in a meaningful way that pushes the narrative forward, since we were told that the Jougan is an ancient eye of the Otsutsuki that is extremely rare, but somehow Boruto possesses the eye, and given the Otsutsuki believe that they're the only ones who should have chakra, what do you think the Otsutsuki God would do, seeing the eye in possession of a mere human, or a mere Otsutsuki vessel. It could be endgame. After all, Otsutsuki look at humans like they're meat. How would you feel if you saw your hamburger running around with your credit card? You would be saying, why does my hamburger have my credit card? Why is this hamburger spending my money? That's how the Otsutsuki look at humans. Humans are the hamburger. The credit card is the Otsutsuki chakra. That could be something that works. That being said, I'm curious to know your opinions on this top 5 list. While you think that over, click here to watch my Chainsaw Man chapter 108 review, or click here for this Naruto Explained video.